Hey there, card readers. April here on Tarot and Witchery. I'm out in my garden. It is summertime. Yay! And with that, I bring with me 7 ideas for reading tarot and oracle over the summer, as well as 14 different decks that I'm going to show you. So before I go on, I just want to say purchase responsibly, right? As Gerald would say, know your limits. I wanted to share with you not just summer decks for reading, but I also wanted to share with you just some ideas for really getting out there and mixing it up. You know, at this point we have sun, we can get outside, we can do different things. As Janis Joplin said, summertime and the living is easy. So, you know, I wanted to really give you some fun ideas for slipping more magic, more sunlight, and actually more moonlight into your reading time so that you can get outside and do some things different, maybe shake up your reading style. But before I jump into it, I want to let you know that I have free PDF printables down below, and Namir is just not going to leave the camera alone. Oh my gosh. You guys, she just is like, I'm going to make this camera stand mine. So you may feel some bumps or see some bumps on there. Anyway, free PDF printables down below in the description box. Great ideas down there, as well as the Whisper that you can sign up for. That's my weekly newsletter. Sometimes not weekly, you guys. Sometimes I just have to let it go. But anyway, in there you'll get tarot tips and tricks, and I have spreads that I share, and sometimes weekly card readings for you, just talking about the energies or even sometimes astrological energies that are out there. Tip number 1 is to make a basket. Have a basket that is ready to go. I actually have a basket that I keep in my car. And I do this so that I always have reading materials with me. In my basket, I like to have something I can journal in. I want to have a deck that I love to have on hand. And I also want to have a blanket so that I can sit down anywhere, or a reading cloth so I can keep my cards safe. Last year, I took the Wild Unknown Tarot with me everywhere, and I just think this is such a fabulous summertime deck. It really was precious to get to know it. I love the imagery, absolutely love the imagery on this, and I feel like it's just something that when I pull out, I know that I'm going to get something that's just incredibly, deeply resonant for me. To me, this has the right mix of animals and people. I don't like strictly animal decks, but I have found that this deck has just the right sort of mix of the two that keeps me really grounded during summertime and has just that summer vibe. This year in my basket, I'll be taking the Mermaid Tarot. I haven't worked with this very much, but I feel like it has a wonderful summer vibe to it. Sylvain, close your eyes. It is mermaids. So this one isn't for you. One of the things that I like about this deck is that it's watery, of course, and it has that beachy sort of vibe to it. But I also love that it has this hard box. So taking it around with me is going to make it something that I don't feel like it's going to be destroyed by kind of lugging it around with me. It was the same with the Wildwood Tarot. It had a nice big box to it. Also, I think that the book here is really interesting. Her take on the cards is one that is very intriguing to me. It's just kind of a little bit different of an angle on the tarot, and it's very much about how the energy builds in each of the suits. So using this to sort of expand my tarot knowledge while diving into a deck that I normally wouldn't. I'm not a super mermaid fan, you guys. I'm not. But I think this is beautiful, and it's bright with all of its sunny colors. And all of the decks that I show you in here will be down below in the description box. I wanted to throw in here really quickly that on the 29th, I'm going to be on Orshi's channel, and I'm going to have a link to that down below. We're going to be talking about the dark side of tarot. It's going to be really fun. It's a live. I hope that you'll come be with us and enjoy all the fun that we're going to have and what comes up during that time on that live. Tip number 2, mini decks for on the go. Yes, mini decks. I have a confession to make, you guys. I don't have too many mini decks, and the reason is because I feel like that would be uncorking a genie. If I start collecting mini decks, I just don't know where it will stop. I am probably going to get the brand new mini Oak, Ash, and Thorn that's coming out that Lisa Popez just tempted us all with in her latest video. Particularly for summer though, I have 2 mini decks that I do have on hand that I want to share with you that I think are just lovely. The Whispering Woods. Now again, this is a good sturdy little box, and I think these are great for your car, these little mini decks. It's nice to have a deck for the car, like something that you can pull at a stoplight. And, oh, that one's in there incorrectly. These cards are not so much for asking questions, but kind of getting a little message in the moment, like adventure. So here you are, you're driving in the car and you're thinking about your day, and you pull this adventure, live wild and free. So they're just kind of these little interjections. This is the Whispering Woods one, music. There's a melody to be heard in the deepest parts of the woods, if only we listen. I absolutely love these. They're just really simple and again, perfect for the car. Right along with that beachy theme here, we have the Sea Melodies one, these little magnetic boxes, they're great. And again, it's very much the same. The backs are all the same on these two, but you know, choose wisely. Be discerning. You don't have to keep everything in your net. So it's kind of cute because they're all around the sea and the idea of being underwater. And I think that for me, when it gets really hot, there's a stillness that comes along and it can be very emotional for me. So having these watery cards are, you know, just something that kind of lightens things up. Again, avert your eyes, Sylvain. Sorry about this one. Dream, follow your yearning for the deep blue sea. You know, and that's kind of a cool thing to just sort of think about during the day. What does it mean for me to dream? What is in my ocean? What is in my deep blue sea? You know, the ocean is the primordial soup that we came out of, the components of life. So, you know, what is in your deep blue sea? Determination. Don't be afraid of the rising tide. It will soon recede. So, you know, just a little thought for your day, you know, and again, perfect for a stoplight. Maybe you're going in to have lunch with a friend or running in, you know, getting out of the car and going into work. Just, you can draw this really quickly and have a message for your day. They're so darn cute that it makes me want to get them all, but they serve a specific place in my collection. And I have a Before You Buy coming out on 2 other mini decks in a couple weeks here that I think you'll really like. Tip number 3 is sunrise readings. Now, this may be a challenge for some of you if you're total night people, but doing a sunrise reading can be something that really shakes you out of your normal routine and just puts a different spin on life and the day. So recently I got up with the solstice. I got up at 4 a.m. Yeah, that was crazy. And I hiked to the top of the butte here, and I enjoyed a reading up on the top of the butte at sunrise. Of course, you don't have to hike anywhere. You can just get up and go out to a coffee shop at sunrise. It's so fun to see the people that are out at sunrise. It really is such a different energy. Also, the sunrise readings can just be very precious, just a precious time. So getting up and reading at sunrise. And of course, I have 2 decks that I want to recommend for sunrise readings. I feel like the Chrysalis Tarot is such a sunny deck. It's so sunny and bright. First of all, look at the backs of these. Look at how cute those are. Comes with a little white book, comes in a box. So again, it's portable too. And I feel like this just has that, you know, the super fae, and it's just so sunny and bright. When I read with this, there's a playfulness to it. It's lighthearted. It's a lot of fun. Sorry about that. Didn't realize I've obviously had some moments with this deck. It's all up and about. But, you know, look at how bright the colors are. I mean, these sunflowers and the 9 of mirrors here. It's just so magical. Look at this. Doesn't this just scream like hot summer, like walking through a meadow into the woods with your basket on a hot sunny day? I mean, I just absolutely feel like this is the perfect sunshiny sunrise deck. You know, wake up and feel the brightness, feel the solar rays on your skin. And since the Druids have a special connection to the sun, the sunrise, I've included the Druid Craft deck. I think this is a great sunrise deck. I also feel like this is a very balanced deck. A lot of decks out there are super ultra feminine, and I feel like there's a nice balance of masculine energy. And there seems to be a trend nowadays of going into the feminine. I know that the divine feminine is really rising up and wanting to be recognized, but it's important for us to recognize the divine masculine as well. And so I included this deck just because it's an old favorite of mine, but also because I do feel like it has that sunrise feel to it. Number 4 is the Midday Lazy Fan Pull. You know, it gets so hot midday most places, and you just feel super lazy. And I think it's the perfect time to do a fan pull. Instead of sitting there and shuffling everything out, why not do it the old-fashioned way and do a fan pull? This is my Fenestra Tarot, and it's bright and sunny. It's very soft, yet I've chosen this tarot because, again, there is a masculine vibe to this tarot. The divine masculine definitely comes through in this, and I feel as though, again, we need decks that really honor the divine masculine, or that men feel comfortable with, they feel seen in. You know, we talk about wanting to be seen as powerful women. I think men want to feel powerful as well, and seen, and even vulnerable. And there's something about this tarot that does that, but it's also just lovely. It's soft. I mean, doesn't this just feel like summer to you? The colors are lovely. I think this is a lesser known tarot. I was introduced to this tarot at the Northwest Tarot Symposium like 5 or 6 years ago. I partnered up with a guy who had this, and it was really quite perfect. And I came home and got it. Loved the illustrations in it. And for that lazy summer day pull, I think the Forest of Enchantment Tarot is wonderful. It has that witch in the woods feel to it, that time of the year when the fae feel just strong and accessible because we're out amongst them. It's so green and inviting. You know, right now the earth is so lush and pouring forth so much bounty. You know, I'm just outside on my table here on the porch. I've got my trusty, very old tablecloth that comes out every year. It's looking kind of sad, but I still love it. It's bright and sunny, and you don't have to make a thing of doing that midday pull to simply fan the cards out. I think you move into a realm with the cards that's very different. It feels less forced. You can go, I mean, look, I can just lay those cards out right on top of, and I'm kind of feeling like something over here. Like I can just run my hand over and go, you know, it's really hot right here on that card that I pulled. So I'm feeling like this card really speaks to me. Look at how beautiful these are. Don't these just scream summertime? Again, it doesn't have to be a thing. To me, what's important is that I actually read my cards, and I want to kind of shake it up. Maybe you want to sit out on the lawn and pull cards and just enjoy yourself that way. Maybe you want to put a blanket out. Just relax and make it something that's very relaxing and lazy. Look at that. So beautiful. It's okay to be lazy. It's okay to just let the cards speak to you and just let their pictures speak to you, like to lay out, to pull some out of the fan and lay them out and see if a story emerges for you that feels right. What story are you telling yourself when you see this? You don't even have to look at the words down here. You can take tarot from a different level and get your acquired knowledge out of the way, because sometimes we're drawing on the past, our past experiences with the cards. And so just letting yourself have a pictorial read can also be so refreshing and freeing during the summer. Number 5, moving through the day, moonlight readings. You could even do a midnight reading if you want. But moonlight readings are so magical. Also, depending on where you are in the world, it may be so hot that going out in the evening is the best time for you. So having that chance to be outside in nature, I love getting out and letting the moonlight touch my skin while I read cards. I'm an MJ fan, and so the 4 Hexa Tarot definitely makes it into my moonlight reading recommendation for you. Such a beautiful deck. This deck is so deep, and it really has that midnight moonlight feel for me. I love diving into it. It does have a darker side, and there is a darker aspect to life with the Fae. And so I love the idea of pulling this out. I want to encourage you, if you're going to do a moonlight reading, to create some ambiance, you know, to really maybe put on some incense and light some candles. It's a time that you can pull the mystical out of yourself, allow it to rise up. And so creating a space that feels mystical to you. Also, this could be a time when your kids are asleep and in bed, you know, and so it can be a time that's your own. Maybe you want to put on some soft music, or maybe you just want to be outside where you can hear the sound of the crickets and the different animals and the rustling of the breeze in the evening as you sit in the moonlight. And since the moon belongs to the goddess, how about the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot? This is such a lovely tarot. It's very different. I love that it's dark. I absolutely love how dark this is. And what makes this tarot even better is the book itself. The book has such a unique take on each one of these goddesses. And then also there is some renaming. Look at this. And then there's the extra card, the Knight. So it's a fun deck. It's very different. It really evokes not just mystical and enchanting, but exotic. It has this really exotic feel. And when I dive into those warm summer nights, I want to feel sultry. I want to have that exotic feeling. And this deck just really invokes that feeling for me. And again, like I said, the book itself is filled with really great messages, and it's so much fun to dive into this tarot in the evenings. Number 6, go to a body of water. Either go to the ocean, go to a river, or go to a lake. Water in the summertime is really refreshing when it's hot. Just being by a body of water and soaking up the energy of that. Like, the ocean has its own vibe. To me, when I'm at the ocean, it makes me feel so small with the immensity of the ocean, and yet it's so grounding to know that not only am I the drop in the ocean, but the ocean itself. There's something so mystical about Mama Ocean and spending time with her that just refreshes the soul on an incredible level. I live right next to a river, so it's wonderful to go down there and kind of sit, meditatively watch the waters flow. It's the same if you're at a stream in the woods. There's this refreshing sense of being revitalized. And then a lake. Lakes are so mystical, and they are deeply entrenched in mythic lore. So getting by a lake and absorbing the stillness, enjoying the glass quality of the water, and just having a time to reflect deeply is incredible when you take your cards along with you. Soul cards are definitely one of the more watery decks that I have. If you don't have the soul cards, I want to ask, why not? These cards are amazing. No book, no words, just these incredible drawings. If you're going to be by the water, I can think of nothing better than this wonderful, more abstract art where it's really about allowing the subconscious to come forward, allowing your mind to let go and to feel your way into the cards, just like water moves through and around objects. It's amazing. And I feel like these cards do that. They move through and around my mind, and they bring up the most amazing ideas and thoughts about myself. They bring me into a place of honoring pieces of myself that I didn't even know needed to be recognized and honored. Look at this, so beautiful, so beautiful. These cards are incredible, and I think they're one that I've used for years, and I never get tired of the art ever. And I find that even when I've done a card before, it has a completely new meaning when I see it again. I never get tired of soul cards. Well, you can't talk about getting by a lake without thinking of the Mists of Avalon. And so I've chosen the Mists of Avalon Oracle here. One of the things that I really love about this deck is that it has words all the way around it. You can put this in a bag and take it with you without having the book. You don't even need the book in order to use this. It's really that, oh, look at this Ariantod. So lovely. Because you have these different keywords in the deck. And I'm in the kind of in the goddesses right now, but oh, look at this. So like sacred union. So on here you have sexuality, fertility, vitality, and growth. You know, I think these are a great jumping off point. Like you can use these by themselves, or you can pull one of these and then pull a tarot card with it. The imagery is beautiful on these cards. And again, look, there's Excalibur right there at the lake. Let's see what's on that one just because. Action, power, sovereignty. Ooh, yeah. And then finally, truth. So these cards are absolutely lovely. I love the art. You guys, this is totally my thing. You know, this is kind of how I even dress. Number 7 is include your kids. And so I know that a lot of you out there have children, and you know, you can't always just sneak off to read tarot. So including your kids is so much fun. And I've got some great tips for including children in tarot readings that I want to talk to you about as I show you these great decks for working with kids. For young children, I think the Playful Heart Tarot is an amazing tarot to work with them. I mean, I think that they can recognize the expressions on the faces. The colors are bright and inviting. When working with your kids, I would, you know, just say, hey, do you want to draw a card? And then, you know, let them draw a card and then ask them, what do you see going on in the picture? Tell me about the picture. What do you see? And then, you know, depending on their age, you can add a little bit of wisdom about the picture, you know, and as your child tells you what they see going on in the picture and you ask them what that makes them think of, you can get a little window into what's going on with them. It can open up conversations. You know, as you do go to expound on this, I would tell you, don't judge or try to explain their feelings or thoughts about it. But if you want to share a story and use I language, you know, oh, I feel like that too sometimes. I remember when this happened to me and I was very sad. Sharing stories, it's a great way to help them to understand that the cards are their friends and can be there as mirrors for them and just get them comfortable with drawing cards. For older kids, even younger kids too, the Everyday Witch Tarot. I find, you know, as our kids get a little bit older, they can kind of think that maybe we're silly. But this is a great way to connect with your teens, your tweens and your teens. Is to say, hey, you want to do a tarot reading? You want to draw some cards? Again, you can ask them what they see in the cards, get them engaging. I would say don't use reversals. And that's another nice thing about this. If you see that it's coming up, you can just turn it around. Don't use reversals. Just teach them to read upright at that point. And it can be very engaging. It's a great way to get your kids talking about themselves, which they love to do if you can get them on that, because that's what they do all day long with their friends. They may be quiet with you, but get them out in some place and break out a deck and suddenly they're, ooh, you know, they're ready to talk about themselves and talk about the cards. And it's a great time to encourage them that they can read tarot. And, you know, at this point, they're much more cognitive as teens and tweens. And so it's a time to really help them use that frontal lobe in order to engage with life and the cards. Again, just remember to use I statements when you're working and talking about experiences. Don't talk at your teens. They hate that. You've been doing that to them their whole life and they're not wanting to do that. They're needing to be in a reciprocal relationship. Instead, talk with them and avoid adding your 2 cents about their life unless they specifically ask you for advice. It's the best way to keep communication flowing. I always say by the time your kids reach about 13, you filled their cup and they know how to drink it. They actually probably know everything that you're going to say for the most part because you've said it so many times. And now it's time to really give them some space to differentiate from you. And so talking about your life, relating your life to them can feel insulting because they feel like they're having their own separate experience. Take it from me, I have 5 kids and I've been through 5 teens now. Oh my gosh. And I think it's just really important to kind of give them some space to be themselves and really honor and respect that space within them so that they feel very empowered to be themselves and to make their own decisions. Thanks for being here. Don't miss out on the summertime. Take advantage of this solar energy, the brightness of life, this time to really get in and feel the fullness of everything. Get out there, shake it up, do it differently, try something new. Every season has its blessings. Every season has its gifts. Dive in and discover what the season has for you. Until we meet again, may you be invigorated by the sun and brought to new levels of intimacy with yourself through the magic and wonder of your cards. What are you doing? Is your eye getting better? That's Hagrid. His eye's getting much better for those of you who've been asking. He's on the mend and peppy. I'm so happy to see him doing better.